Hi, I'm Des from Aro-Tarot, and welcome to my weekly wrap-up. So, this is new. Essentially, I wanted to try doing reading vlogs, and I just talk way too much. That's the issue. So I was thinking that instead I could do more of like a wrap-up like this, and just talk about the books that I read for the week. Because I figured that talking about the books for the week would be a lot better than constantly talking about them later in the month, because with only like 2 or 3 books in the week, like max pretty much, I won't have a really long video unless I talk extensively about said books. So this allows me to talk more of my thoughts than during like a wrap-up video, because if I'm constantly talking about just 10, 12 books, the video ends up being just way too long. So this allows me to kind of, get all that done. So this kind of thing will either be in more of a vlog format, more so with when I read the books. In future videos, I might cut to my reactions like after finishing it, just because it's a lot easier for me to remember my thoughts. Obviously, also like even just with monthly wrap-up, like I'm not going to entirely remember everything from just a book that I read earlier in the month, so makes a little bit better on that too. So yeah, so with some it'll be like that, and then some it'll be like this, where there's just been some books that I just had too much thoughts on, and me talking about life and just what was going on, more vloggy style, was just way too long. So if I talk extensively about books while I just finished reading a book, maybe stayed up all night reading it or something, I'll have it like this. So it'll be either more like this, or it'll be more vloggy, where maybe I'm just sitting here just for the end bit and the beginning bit. So yes, so without further ado, I got some books this week. I also read 3 books this week, and I also got some fabric that I just thought I'd show for some book-related things that I'll end up making. So the first book that I read this week was Vengeful by V. Schwab. The very beginning of February, I read Vicious. I, obviously not having read much in the last, I don't know how many years, probably since, in the last 5 years, I think I'd only really read two books until, this year. So I got a lot of catching up to do. So I finally read Vicious at the beginning of last month, and I loved it. Like, the characters, mostly just from the characters, and just the idea, just, even just having Victor as, the main character, the one that you end up just so rooting for, I just found it to be so interesting, and that's really why I loved it. And Vengeful, I came into reading this, I got the book because I loved Vicious, and I did want to read the next one, so I went ahead and I got Vengeful. And I wasn't entirely sure how I was going to think about it, because I've not heard, raving reviews of this book. I think the most raving I've heard is literally just the fact that it won Goodreads Adult Sci-Fi for 2018. That's pretty much it. Everyone that I've watched either say that it's okay, not as good as Vicious, but a good book, or they say it's not very good. I've even heard one person say, read Vicious as a standalone, this isn't worth it. And I seem to have a very unpopular opinion. I'm not sure if it's just because I am very now familiar with the characters from reading the first book, but I actually kind of found it more enjoyable to read the second book. And I'm not sure if it literally is because the characters that have already been established in the first book, I already think are so interesting as they are. And of course, like, I like them. I went through a whole book together with them. So starting here, I already have an emotional attachment to them. And then we just get some more characters and then more development, since this happens 5 years, well, the present times, because both of these are told, their storylines are told, like, out of order. Like, that's the writing style, and honestly, I really like it. Like, it's just different, and it's just like, ooh, you know, I really like that. That style. It's kind of like watching a TV show or a movie. And this one, though, the present line of this one takes place 5 years after the present part of Vicious. And so obviously there has been, like, some developments over these last 5 years. We have to get caught up on what has happened. There is even development in the past of one of the other characters. Eli's past is in this. And that just made me think he was even more of a fascinating antagonist. And with the new characters, I was surprised. I thought that they were going to overtake the story in a kind of almost negative light of just too much, from what I've heard people say. But I found June to not, while she's very much in the story, her backstory and everything's not really even told flashback-wise, like, at all. If anything, you just kind of put the pieces together and like, oh, so this is her backstory. And then with Marcella, I feel like you kind of need to see her past to understand her as a character, because that just made her more interesting and more of, oh, with just how her character is. Like, obviously no spoilers, but I actually really like that. And I really like the premise. I imagine it would be very hard to try to come up with some kind of storyline in which both Victor and Eli are going to end up fighting somehow again, that one of the other's going to end up, like, just hunting the other one or finding the other one, considering how Vicious ends. And so I really liked how this was done. Like, to me, like, the new characters were very important. Like, they had to be there in order for the story to just continue and then finish. And I actually thought it was really interesting, and I actually really liked it. So I gave it a 5 out of 5. And I think maybe later in the year, I might even reread Vicious. Might not reread Vengeful. I'm just really curious about reading Vicious to see if I really prefer Vengeful over Vicious, or if it's literally just because the characters I was already attached to in the first one. I imagine I might even like Vicious even more rereading it, since I don't reread a lot, but I have reread things that I really like. So I would definitely be up for rereading it. And I imagine I'm going to, the book's right up there, so I'm looking up there. And I imagine that I'm just going to just love the characters from the start, and maybe it'll have that same, just my attachment to the characters, just like when I started with this one. So we'll really see. We'll really see when I eventually reread Vicious which one I really do prefer, because literally I actually really liked this one a lot, so it's kind of hard to tell. So the next book I read is actually a novella, and it is called Treasure by Rebecca Weatherspoon. And going into this, I wasn't expecting to love it entirely. Actually, I just kind of wanted to read it because I was curious about how a character with ADHD would be written, because I have ADHD. And the story that I want to work on has the main character and also the character that's the narrator. Both of them are supposed to have ADHD, and it's kind of like a struggle of, am I writing too much of myself in this? Or what? Just, I haven't started writing, but just thinking about how it's going to be written. Will I be writing too, like, what's too much? You know, it's kind of the struggle of, am I really just showing just literally this, or am I just writing myself? It's a struggle. So, pretty much, this novella is about Alexis, And she goes to her sister's bachelorette party, which takes place in a strip club. And it is there that she meets Treasure, who is really gorgeous. And both of them take an interest in each other. And then, of course, even Treasure ends up giving her to the back room, you know, the special lap dances, you know, the really sexy ones that you pay for in the back. I mean, I've never been to a strip club. All I know is from watching TVs and video games and just reading this. So that, you know, one of the friends of the sister pays for her to get that. And they end up finding out that they are actually in one of the same classes in college. So they get to talking, and yes, so this is a woman-loving woman romance, and I did actually like the romance aspects of this. It's got a lot of sex in it, and it's actually like really sex positive, and there's also a lot of positivity for sex workers as well, which is like really awesome. So it's really cool to see that. For me, and my thoughts on the book, it was pretty much like a 3-star for the full way. I wasn't actually in the mood to read the sex scenes, so like, they didn't really bother me though. So I just kind of like read them and I was like, okay, you know. Like, I have to be kind of in the mood to read them. I wasn't really in the mood, but like, that didn't put me down, because then with like the actual romance, I was like, yes, I like this. Like, it's very short. It's less than 100 pages, or the ebook is 106 pages. I have it up because I can never remember if it was less than 100 or slightly over 100. So it's slightly over 100 pages. So in just that span of time, it does what it sought out to do. The thing that I didn't like the book was actually the ending, and that's why I went from a 3-star to actually a 2.5-star for me. And in a way, it's almost a 2-star, but I don't know, it's like a 2 or a 2.5, and it would be really spoilery for me to say what I didn't like about it, but I guess to kind of just get the sum of it, I did see some of the reviews on it on Goodreads kind of said how it's ableist, that there's some like ableist comments that never get addressed in it, and yeah, there is a line at one point that I didn't really like about, obviously, like, not specifically quoting, because I'm going off memory, but it was basically, what's the point of needing a therapist? Why does she really need a therapist anymore now that she's got a girlfriend that she can talk to about her feelings? And yeah, friends and family are really important, but it's a doctor, and your doctor can be, you know, really important, so I didn't really like that line. There was another line just as well, it was just the wording with one of the other things as well I didn't really like, but the ending I didn't like at all. Obviously the whole thing is very positive for sex workers, but it's not positive for people with depression and mental illness, which is what Alexa is going through in this book. So, yeah. It's just, I'd have to spoil it for me to actually say specifically what it is. So the third book that I read, in basically 24 hours, there was some sleep in between, but my sleep schedule is just really off, so yeah. It was still in 24 hours. I really should have done it in 48, because I feel like me being tired has made it really hard to try to rate this book. And I read One Dark Throne, so the first book that I read in this month, the very beginning of the month, was actually Three Dark Crowns, and I loved it. I thought it was a really fast read for me, and I just thought it was so interesting. I had no idea how it was going to end, and I just kept questioning and trying to figure out what's going to happen. Like, I just thought it was so interesting, and I really liked the characters. It was 5 out of 5 star read. I've heard people say that the first book is very boring. I've heard multiple people say that the first book is very boring. Even recently I heard someone say that the first book is very boring, but the rest of the series is supposed to be really good. And so going into the second one, I had high expectations because I really liked the one that was supposedly boring and not the best representation of the series as a whole, and that the second and third one are better, so I had high expectations considering I really liked that one. And I feel like the high expectations, along with the fact that I was really tired, the last 40% of this book, I was really tired, but I really wanted to know what happened, so I kept reading, and I really shouldn't have. I should have stopped myself, because during the parts where you'd go, oh, I just was kind of like, oh, I didn't even write that down. I was surprised. I was tired. So it's very hard for me to rate this, because the first half of the book, especially the beginning, was very 5 star. The first half of the book was still probably 5 star, at least 4.5, but by the end of the book I was feeling like a 4 star, and that was literally just because I was so tired. I imagine that if I reread this, I know the last book comes out later this year, and I might sit down and read the 3, not the prequel. I don't know, maybe I'll reread the prequel because it's so short, the novella set. But I kind of think I might reread these, maybe like take a week and like reread them right before the book comes out. So yeah, so I think if I reread this, it will either make it solid 4.5, or I will definitely be like, this is a 5 star. What was I thinking before? I really should have let myself get some sleep before just throwing myself and continuing to read. Because the first one I read in 2 sittings. Usually when I really like a book, I'll read it in 2 sittings. Even if I read like 60% of the book in 1 sitting, or even like 65% in 1 sitting, it's still in like 2 sittings. And this one was kind of in 2 sittings, but not really, because I only read like 100 pages, and then the whole rest of it was in 1 sitting, and I really shouldn't have done that. So yeah, it's hard for me to kind of really rate it. And then obviously can't really say the synopsis of this one, because just like with Vengeful, it's a sequel. So yeah. So the first thing that I'll show you that I got, my Nana and Papa, they like to spoil me, and it's like, thank you guys, I love you. Also, I do love being spoiled though, but like, gosh darn, I also really like them, because they're my grandparents. I love them. But they were spoiling me really good today, and one of the things that we got, because we went to Joann's, because Nana needed to buy some more bobbins, because you can never have too many bobbins, and when you've got a bunch of different color threads that you're working in, you kind of need some, she needed some more bobbins. So we also had the coupon of 20% off your total purchase. I was looking at fabric, because I did have some money on me. If I saw one that I really wanted, I would have been up for getting it to make some more book sleeves. And they ended up buying me 2. So I got half a yard of both, which is enough to have the inside and the outside the same. Or if I got maybe like a fat quarter of white or something, because white would work best with these 2, I could have enough to make 2, or have a quarter of a yard left over from making the bag sleeves. And the fabrics that I got are so cute. So the first one I picked out is this one, which has owls and deers and some cute hedgehogs, and it is adorable. And I already had it up next to, like, just sitting on top of some books I'm going to be reading next month, and oh, it just looks so cute. Currently the only cute one that I own that I made is my Stitch one, so I will have some more cute ones, and I am like so excited. Currently I keep using my Stitch one because next month I will be starting my Stitch reading journal, and I'm so excited because it is so cute, and it'll match this. And now I even have a Stitch mug because I got this today too. Everything's Stitch. But Yes, that was the first one. And there was another one with pandas that I really liked, but I felt like the kind of aesthetic, like essentially the aesthetic of it kind of made me think too much of this one, like they would work really well together, and I wanted something different. So I kept looking at the fabric, and I found this one, and I thought it was so cute. They're mermaid kittens. Like, it's so adorable. So this will make another book sleeve. So the last part of this video is the fact that I got some books, so I figured I would show off the new books that I got because, gosh darn, I am so excited to read them. I actually, last week, I had ordered 6 books, but obviously only 4 of them came because 2 of them were pre-orders, and the one pre-order has already shipped, and that is Once in Future. And then the other one was I wanted to get the paperback for One Dark Throne because I was already buying a bunch of books, and I knew I could wait because I already had this one checked out anyway. So my 3 Dark Crowns copy is also a paperback, so I don't mind mixing up the paperback and the hardback. So, I mean, the novella set is also even a paperback anyway, so I went ahead and just did that so I could save a bit of money. But I did get the hardback for the 3rd book. So the first 2 books that I got is I got The Queens of Fenburn, which this is the 2 novellas, which specifically are The Young Queens and The Oracle Queen. So then the other one that I got, because I ordered the second one, and I ordered that, so obviously I went ahead and got the 3rd one as well, so I can definitely go ahead and return that library book because now I own it. So yeah, I'm really excited to read this one. I'm curious to see where it's going to go from here with how the last one left off, so definitely very excited to continue on. I know currently, I'm not entirely sure because like I said, I was so tired with the second one, but if this one is literally just as good, this could possibly maybe be my favorite series ever, at least of now. Considering I'm just getting back into reading anyway. But, so, yeah, I'm really excited to get to those ones. And then the 2 other books that I got, besides the pre-order for Once in Future, I did get like 3 books in total that weren't, 3 Dark Crowns. And the ones that I got were Baker Thief. I've been wanting this book since like January when I got back into reading. It's just I knew that I would want to wait till it went on sale because it is an $18 book and it's a paperback, and I don't really like paying $18 for a paperback because you could get a small hardcover for that price. So if I can get more books for my money, the better. But I was really excited to get this, and then I kind of like kept buying books at the actual store. And obviously they didn't have this at the actual store. I was going to have to order it online. So it just kept going. And then finally when I was buying, like all of these, of course, the first one that came to mind with, I have money, there's a sale, what should I get? Baker Thief. And yeah, so this one, like, the synopsis seems just so interesting. So you have Adelaide, and her one goal is to catch the purple-haired thief, who she doesn't know is actually the local baker, and this thief stole the exocore, her exocore, and this thief, which is Claire, who obviously owns the bakery Croissant Tour. I don't know how to pronounce French things. But yeah, her night she goes around and she steals these exocores because she knows the truth about these red gems, that they are actually witches' souls. And currently, like, her twin, who is a powerful witch, has disappeared, so she's, like, redoubling her traces and investigating, trying to figure out where that went, and just, they're gonna end up having to work together, and their relationship, while unstable, ends up, like, really deepening. And the reason I had heard of this book is because I know that there's a book with characters that are ace. I mean, literally Victor from the Villains duology is ace. And honestly, I actually really liked how, like, his whole book canon moment in Vengeful was, because it wasn't like He's just Ace, and it had nothing to do with the fact that he's a sociopath either. If anything, that part of the book was actually that literally just like that one page that, like, I think it was like 2 paragraphs was done really well, especially like with also his feelings on like the girl that he had liked in the past, which just with all of that, like, I'm not gonna give too much because spoilers, but just that whole bit was just very accurate. And like, that's literally what I'm always hearing from other people in the Ace community, and I just thought it was like really good, so I really liked it. So obviously there's characters that are Ace in books. I want to see if there's characters that were Aro in books. So yeah, basically I was just looking for books with characters that were Aro or on the aromantic spectrum, like, and if it was like canon, like, that's even like better. And then that's how I came across Baker Thief, and I was like, this sounds really good. And then if I remember correctly, Claudie Arsenault, I think is how you pronounce that, Arsenault? I don't know, there's so many vowels, all the vowels. But if I remember correctly, they are on the Aro and Ace spectrums. I can't remember if they're specifically Aro Ace, but if I remember correctly, they're on at least the spectrums. Yeah, so I heard that the characters end up in a, like, this is what I heard. I heard that they end up in a queer platonic relationship at the end, and I'm like, please give me. Like, I want to read that. Like, I want to see how their relationship is. Like, it's going to be great. I'm, like, really, really excited to read this, and I'm going to read it next month. So, yeah. Then the other book that I got when I was getting all of the books, I actually got The Prince and the Dressmaker by Jen Wang. And yeah, like, I've seen this one on Tumblr. I don't think I've seen it, at least in any of the videos that I've seen from the people that I've watched on BookTube or on BookTube, but I have seen this one a few times, and I actually saw it again, like, what was it, just last week? I saw it, not even last week, I think it was literally this week. Like, literally maybe 2 days ago. I actually saw this got brought up again as another, like, recommendation for, like, just really cute, like, a younger read that is just LGBT plus and, like, is good. So basically what this book is about, it is about Prince Sebastian, and he is looking for a bride. Well, not really, his parents are looking for a bride, because the thing that he wants to do is, when day turns to night, he takes the whole city by storm as the fashionable, like, the fashion icon, Lady Crystalia, if I remember that's the name of the character. Crystalia? Yeah, Crystalia. You know, the hottest fashion icon in the world capital of fashion. And then you have his friend Frances, who is the dressmaker, and she makes these dresses for Sebastian. And they're really good, but the thing is that it's his secret. And so she's a secret. Her work is a secret. And it's gonna depend on, like, how things go. Like, can, you know, like, she's keeping the secret and, like, creating clothes of her life, but she can't, like, feel like, oh, I made this. So yeah, that's a struggle there, and it's just like a really cute love story. I also actually saw Jen's, I saw in an interview, like, when someone asked, like, what's Sebastian's, like, gender identity, and it's actually not said in the book on purpose, so that you're able to kind of just interpret it in your own way. Specifically to her, while writing it, she sees him as genderqueer, but if you want to see him as the first steps into realizing that Sebastian's a trans woman, or he's just a cis guy that just really likes dresses, like, it's all up to you. Obviously, like, because I have seen the one specific scene that is where Sebastian's saying why he wears the dresses. And to me, it comes off as gender fluid, which, you know, is a non-binary identity. So, you know, like with the gender queer and all that. So, like, specifically, it makes me think of gender fluid. So, that's obviously how I will be taking this. And I'm just, like, really excited. I've seen the artwork. I flipped through. And it's just, like, this is going to be so cute, and I will be reading it next month. So then, hold on, I still have one more book, because today I got another book. I actually was literally going to buy a book myself. One book on my list that I've been on my TBR for next month, that I've been thinking about buying, because I know that I'll like it, and then I don't have to, like, have another book checked out. So I figured, you know, maybe I'd go ahead and get it. I literally pulled it off the shelf, and was, like, just kind of looking through the other ones, and then I was kind of like, I think I'm good, you know, I'm gonna go walk by, and then I spotted it. I saw this beautiful cover of this book, and I'm like, what is this book? You know, and then I see the author's name, and I'm like, and then I see that it's translated, and I'm like, okay, so this is Japanese. This is literally a story from Japan by a Japanese author, like. And the cover's so beautiful, so, you know, I flip inside. I'm reading the synopsis. Well, first off, I see how beautiful it is on the inside. Like, so beautiful. And I read the synopsis, and I'm like, this sounds amazing. Why have I not heard of this book? I've never heard of this book. Like, I actually, when I got home, I actually looked on YouTube, and I like, YouTubed it on YouTube. And I only saw, like, 3 videos that are book related about the book. So yeah, it's not really talked about, but it's actually really popular in Japan. And yeah, so I looked at Goodreads and it had really high reviews. I'm like, why is no one talking about this? So I was like looking at the one review, and it mentioned how this actually got a manga adaptation, and then it even got an anime adaptation. And I looked at the anime, and I actually recognized the anime. So yeah, the book is The Beast Player, and the anime is Eren, and it's, you know, with the translated title would be The Beast Player Eren, and or just the English title, like the name for short. And I've never watched it, because but I have actually seen it, like, while just browsing through anime. I remember it from back when I was like binge watching anime, but like I binge watched to the point that I just like wasn't watching any anime. Like, that was like the time where I was just completely anime-less, because I just had watched, I started so many and just couldn't continue it. But I remember seeing it. I remember seeing the main character, like the little girl, and I recognize her. So like, I know of this anime, I've just never watched it. So yeah, I actually know of the anime, but yeah, this just seems like really good. I assume this is only the translated version of the first volume, but I'm not sure. I mean, I haven't started reading it yet. But the actual books, there's 4 volumes, and then, you know, Goodreads has it, so like this is essentially like the English version of the first volume. So I guess like maybe we'll get like the other ones eventually translated. I guess it was translated last year. And then there's another cover of it, and this is like the 2019 cover, and it's so pretty, and it feels so nice. Like, this is a gorgeous book. Like, there's the inside, like, oh, look at that shine. But then, like, I saw that, I was like, oh, that's a pretty green, but like, I don't know if you could, yeah, there you can see it. Like, it's literally got like just like a design, like a feel, like, to the actual book itself. Oh, it's so nice. And I was like, forget the other one, I'll just check it out from the library. This is what I need to get. And then my papa spoiled me, and he just gave me money to buy it. So thank you, Papa. But yeah, I'm excited. Like, I have too many books now, I think, on my TBR. I already have like most of them written in. I know a few of them are very short. I think 2 of the ones that I pulled from my box of mystery, they're less than 300 pages, so I can get through them like really quickly. And then 2 of the books are also, I want to read the Tea Dragon Society I will literally read that in a very short sitting. It's only 70 pages. And then there's The Prince and the Dressmaker, which is a graphic novel, so I'll get through that really quickly. Like, I read comics, so I'm used to the format. And yeah, I know another one of the books on is a novella. And this one's not like too long. I can't remember how long it is. Like 340 something pages. 344. So it's not like really long. So if I can get to it, I really want to read this. And then I think I'm going to find the anime online somewhere. And maybe like watch it too. Like, because like I'm excited. This seems like it's going to be like really good. Essentially, like, because I'm not familiar with it, I'll just read the actual synopsis. Eden's family has an important responsibility, caring for the fearsome water serpents that form the core of their kingdom's army. So when some of the creatures mysteriously die, Eden's mother is sentenced to death as punishment with her last breath. Oh, punishment, period. With her last breath, she manages to send her daughter to safety. Alone and far from home, Eden soon discovers, I keep saying Eden because, like, it's an R, like, on the anime, so, like, but in the book, it's an L, which, like, if you know anything about, like, just Japanese, like, they don't have, like, actual L's in, like, the actual, like, you know, like, just the whole language, like, they don't really have L's, so usually you see L's are then replaced, like, with R's, which the R's are actually pronounced a little bit differently. It's hard for me to do, but I try. So I keep saying that, but it's, Eline's. So I still am, like, holding with the I is like an E, just, so it's Eline's. So, alone and far from home, Eileen soon discovers that she can communicate with both the terrifying water serpents and the majestic flying beasts that guard her queen. The skill gives her great power, but it also involves her in deadly plots that could cost her her life. Can she save herself and prevent her beloved beasts from being used as tools of war, or is there no escaping the terrible battles to come? And I'm really excited for this because I was even just talking to my brother about it, like, earlier after I came home, about how we see things with the whole, like, man with war and then, like, animals. We see that in, like, some Western, like, books and shows and stuff, but, like, with the whole, like, where how, like, Japanese, like, media, like, anime and, like, manga and, like, movies and books, the way that they, like, kind of show that is, like, different. For instance, like, I brought up, like, Princess Mononoke, which my brother's like, literally that makes me think of Princess Mononoke, which literally, like, men with their war, and then there's, like, the spirits of the forest, and it's just, the way that it's done is just so interesting. And then, of course, like, the world's gonna be, like, I imagine it's gonna be as beautiful as this page, except for, obviously, the war. Like, the beasts are probably gonna be as beautiful as this page, like, you know, like, I'm so excited. Those are the books that I read, the fabric I got, and the books I got. I already know this video is going to be really long even after I'm editing it, but to be fair, there is a small book haul in it, so I'm just going to put that in the title with it because literally, you want to know why it's so long? Because I got some books. I read some books, I got some books, I'm going to make things for my books, like, books. So, yeah, pretty much that's it. Anyway, I'm just from Aro-Tarot, and I'm logging off, so bye.